And we welcome you to the September edition of RIO STORM. Randy Payton, Sports Information Director here at the University of Grande, joined by Athletic Director Jeff Lanham. And I guess we'll start the show with a look at what's gone on thus far. But we said in our last edition a lot of stuff since the last time that we were on the air.
And we say that again today.
Yep, a lot's going to take place in the future, but we got a lot to look back at.
That's correct. Randy, we wanted to look back at maybe some historic things that happened to us here. The first win of his head coaching career by Tony Daniels, our women's soccer coach. They are off to a 1-6-1 record, and sometimes you may look at that and say, golly, they're struggling, but the actual part of that is their schedule has been really tough. They've played the likes of Davenport, Georgetown, Mount Vernon, and Indiana Wesleyan, who have all been at one point in the top 25 in women's soccer. So he feels very good about it. He's opening up his league versus Brescia on Thursday, tomorrow night, and at 5 o'clock, and then plays midway at 7 o'clock on Saturday. So hope we get to come out and get to see him go after his second victory here as a head coach.
Yeah, we'll get into that a little more here in just a couple of minutes. The men's team, which began the season ranked number 1 in the NAIA, did suffer its first loss back on September the 17th, a 2-0 setback at the University of Northwestern Ohio. It snapped a 19-game winning streak, dropped them to number 2 in the poll, but the good news is they rebounded with a big win at Lindsey Wilson last Friday.
Yes, big win. And anytime it was a great game if you got to see it on the web. It was a great game, a typical RIO Lindsey Wilson game. Ended up 2-1. I believe was the final with that. We scored with 3 minutes to play. Yeah.
The men's team will be in action on Thursday night here against Brescia in River State's conference action. They're also at home next Monday to take on Marian University. They come into play on Thursday night with an 8-1 record. Jeff mentioned women's soccer off to a 1-6-1 start. They finally got off the schneid with a 7-1 win over Cincinnati Claremont, and I think we've got a clip that we can show you from that win that came over the Cougars, and this was actually RIO's first goal as Jenna Jones delivers a free kick, and you'll see Anna Martin headed into the goal, and that kind of got them kick-started. Jeff, Claremont got off to the quick lead, but that was the game-tying goal, and it was all RIO after that.
Right. Claremont scored early, about the first 2 or 3 minutes of the game,
right.
And talking with Tony after the game, what impressed him is we turned right around and came down and saw the goal to tie things up.
Jeff said they have Brescia tomorrow night at Ebony Davis Field, and then Midway here on Saturday night. That will start at 7 o'clock. Volleyball, they are well into their season as well. Matter of fact, played last night up at Point Park, came up a little short. They are 9-8 on the season now, 0-1 in the River States Conference, and we'll hear from head coach Billina Donaldson a little bit later in the show. But Jeff, so many young faces on that team. Right. You got to expect ups and downs, and that's exactly what the first part of the season's been.
What a tough place to open up conference play, traveling to Pittsburgh on a game night, and so it's a tough place, tough place to go play.
You're seeing a shot right now of Chandler Brown. You talk about records falling. She, with that particular dig right there, became the school's all-time digs leader. That came in a win over Glenville State, and she's one of 3 four-year seniors on that squad, and obviously Coach Donaldson relying on them a lot in terms of leadership this year.
Coach Donaldson was talking about she's got some more that are on a pace to potentially have some career-setting years for those seniors this year.
They are back in action on Saturday as part of a River States Conference crossover event at West Virginia Tech. They'll actually be playing that in Beckley, West Virginia. The Red Storm will take on Brescia at noon and Indiana Southeast at 2 o'clock, and they are back home again for the first time on October the 4th. West Virginia Tech will pay a visit rather. That is next Tuesday. That sends us on into what has transpired with cross country, and we're joined this afternoon by our head coach Bob Willey. And Coach, you guys got your season off and running, no pun intended, on Saturday with the Patty Forgy Invitational, and your men and women both took first place.
Yeah, it was always look forward to that event. I know, like I said, this was the 46th annual. Same thing with the Bob Evans Farm Festival. We were on their brochure the first several years at the Farm Festival. We had it the very same weekend, and for both of us, we got off of each other's weekends because of the crowds that they bring to Rio Grande.
The amount of runners and schools kind of jumped back into what you would expect it to. We down a little bit last year, but this year back over 900 runners. I think 55 schools in the various divisions were represented, and it turned out to be a pretty successful day.
Yeah, like I say, we were very happy. The weather cooperated. Really, I don't want to jinx ourselves for the future, but very few snafus. And I had a lady call me yesterday, and she complimented on just how it went like clockwork. Not only, like every race started on time, the results were very quick to get to the awards area. The awards, she talked about how nice of awards we have, and so they said we definitely will be back next year. So always like that.
Tell us, we named this the Patty Forgy. Patty has been with us, was with us for 46 years too. And you can see 45 years. You can see the rock that we have dedicated to Patty out front. She was a secretary, and probably was something of a legend dealing with cross country and track. So maybe you could talk about, just give a few minutes on Patty.
Patty, for years, she not only every entry that came in, she hand wrote everybody's name, school on the number, scored it all by hand. I mean, she was remarkable on how, she could do it all. But yeah, with the Invitational, for years it was called the RIO Grande Invitational, and we felt in her passing that, we wanted to remember her with the idea of calling it the Patty Forgy Invitational. And I know some of the coaches, the first year we did it, were so thankful, because all the dealings they had with Patty and how she kept us all, toeing the line, so to speak of. But yeah, Patty was, wonderful. One year, as a quick example of like Patty, we're at the national championships one year, and in track and field, and they call Patty's name over the loudspeaker, and she kind of panicked a little bit, thought it might be her brother Hank or something. And so we walked down and around the field up into the press box, and Wally Schwartz, who was the liaison, the NAIA was the secretary at that time of the track and field and cross country, he said, Patty, he said, they've got this meet so messed up. Can you straighten it out? And handed Patty the scorebook, and she rescored the national track and field championships. I mean, so, not only did she do unbelievable things here, she did things on the road as well.
You guys got off to the good start with the wins here last weekend. You run on Friday in the All Ohio. That's obviously a big meet, and you want to show well in that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're right now, like I think most sports, I've got several that are sick. We held some people out this past weekend. And so, with that, we're trying to get people healthy. But like I tell them in the way of trying to be positive, I said, let's get it now, get it over with. And then at the end of the season, when the conference championships roll around, the national championships, we'll be through all that. But I've had several with bronchitis, which is no fun to anyone, but definitely does not help distance runners at all. And so, yeah, the All High this Friday at Cedarville will be a big meet for us, because my feeling is I always tell our athletes, how you place at the All-Ohio team-wise is about where you could place at the national championship if everybody shows up for the All-Ohio. About 2 or 3 teams, either up or down. So
Where do you run that race?
at Cedarville.
Cedarville.
It is like they have 2 entrances as you're going north on 72 there. The second entrance is to their athletic complexes. It's across the street from there. They've got an area over there that they have a lot of wells, and they're not allowed to build, but the EPA gave them permission, because they've owned the property for years, gave them permission to build a cross-country course. And it's a national cross-country course. I mean, they've done a wonderful job with it.
Coming into the season, I know you were pretty high, particularly on your men's team, but you've got some kids on both sides that, when all is said and done, could be running at the national level.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, they worked hard over the summer, because cross-country runners made in the summer, and that's where, like the old book said, the loneliness of a long-distance runner. You have to be able to put in the miles long before you get here, and so our people have done that, and very excited about what's to come this year.
We saw a photo a moment ago of 3 of the guys that were running in the Patty Forgy the other day. Dallas guy in the middle, and then Blake Freed to the left there, and Cameron Carpenter to the right. Those are 3 pretty good guys to build around.
Yeah, absolutely. They've all, again, outstanding high school runners. They've worked very hard since they've been here. Right behind them, I think right behind Dallas, I want to say that Kyle Sanborn is behind him. You can't see. And then just to the right between Cameron and Dallas is Dusty Morantz. So good pack right there.
That is.
That's early in the race, so I'd like to keep them all together by the end.
That's a pretty good one that the folks are looking at now, too, on the women's side in Lucy Williams. 2nd straight year that she won the individual title at the Patty Forgy.
Yeah, Lucy, last year as a freshman, qualified for the national championships, and did an outstanding job for us all year last year, and came back in this year again. Did her homework, so to speak, in the summer, ran her mileage, and she has some lofty goals, and I've sat down with her and I said they're very achievable.
Bob, we hosted last year the conference tournament at our place. This year it's a neighboring state over in West Virginia. Where is the course? And tell us something about that course.
Well, it's a place called the Summit, and it is where they host the National Boy Scout Jamboree. It's Beckley, West Virginia, and Bruce Cox, the coach there at West Virginia Tech. I've known him for years. An outstanding coach, and has really put together a wonderful course, and so we're all looking forward, to that.
Fantastic.
Well, we wish you good luck this weekend at the All Ohio. You got off to a good start this week, and last weekend. Hopefully, it continues this weekend.
That would be great. Thank you so much.
All right, Bob Willey, the head track and field and cross country coach here at the University of Rio Grande. His team off to a good start. We mentioned a little earlier about the University of Rio Grande volleyball team being off to a 9-8 start after the loss at Point Park last night. We actually had a chance Monday night before they got into practice to sit down and have a chat with head coach Billina Donaldson, and we'll hear from her. Joined by RIO head coach Billina Donaldson, heading up the RIO volleyball team, and we're already into the season. You're 9-7 to this. It's been up and down a little bit.
It has been up and down a little bit. I think our first outing at Miami taught us a lot about where we thought we were going to stand when we got back. Played a lot bigger competition than we usually start our seasons with, which is what we intended to do. But I was hoping we wouldn't come back and be down by losing 3 games. But the girls showed, especially when we went to Point Park, we did really well there, played a lot of good competition there, and getting more out of my freshmen than I thought I would get this early. But now we're at the point of season at 9 and 7 that I'm wanting a little more out of the freshmen. So we're right where we need to be, but I'd like to be one step further.
Your expectations coming into the season, you had 26 wins, I think, last year, but a lot of new faces that you had to throw in the lineup this year.
A lot of new faces. We have, at one point, I think there are 4 freshmen on the floor at one point for us at a few different occasions. So the experience is what we're looking for. If we can get a lot of big game experience out of them early. I just want to be better each time we play so that when we get to tournament, we get a little better than we've been in the past. So
You did have 3 pretty good seniors to build around, and obviously they're all 4-year players and have been a big part of this program.
you know what? Those seniors are the backbone of this program, and all 3 of them are hopefully going to reach milestones in their career. Chandler, you're going to talk about her maybe in a little bit. She reached her milestone, and then Kayla is, I think she's averaging like 14 assists from being the all-time RIO career and assist leader. And Autumn, our middle, is she has to average like almost 7 kills a day to get her 1,000 kills for the career. So they're all reaching milestones, and because of those milestones, we're having success.
You talked about Chandler Brown. She became the all-time digs leader, I guess, a couple of weeks ago, and she's been solid from day one.
She has. She wanted that position from day one. When she came in as a freshman, she was an outside hitter and had to play all the way around for us, but we found out real quick that she was just a little too small. She jumps out of the gym, but she's just a little too small to play against those big college blockers. So we saw right away that she just had the will to win and the non-stop attitude. So we threw that different color jersey on her, and she ran with it and has not allowed anybody to even challenge that position.
Kayla Briley, a young lady that I think her role has changed a little bit this year. You're asking a little more of her at the net maybe than you have been in years past.
You know what? Kayla's been one of our strongest hitters since she's been here, and we've never been able to utilize that because she's really been the only setter we've had. She's also one of the strongest blockers in the league. If she's in front of you, you're going to get blocked or touched. She's going to slow the ball down for us. So, yeah, Kayla's a very versatile player, and she's going to be really hard to replace.
You add Autumn into the mix, and you're talking then about 3 kids that are, if you want leaders to lead young players, that's 3 pretty good kids to do so.
Yeah, we talked about that. Right now, Kayla and Autumn are really pinging. Their timing seems to be great, which is what we've looked to happen for the last couple years. But we had to sit down. The seniors and I had to sit down in the locker room probably 2 weeks ago, and I've wanted them to be that strong leader and to expect more out of the freshmen, let them know what we expect of them, not be afraid to tell them. But then we decided we would revamp all that and maybe say maybe what we're doing is not working as well as we wanted, so now we're trying the whole, it's okay, we got your back, do the best you can, we're here for you, but we don't want them to think it's okay to not give their best. So we've been trying to work out some wrinkles there.
Some of these freshmen that you've had to throw into the fire, like we said, the 9 and 7 record, it's been up and down, but you got to expect that when you're talking about throwing kids out there to the wolves, so to speak.
Right. Well, you know what? Those 7 losses aren't because the freshmen weren't holding their own, because those freshmen have really done a good job all year. It's just been the experience. Like the game to 5 against Siena Heights, if we'd had experienced players on the floor, I believe we'd have came out on top of that. A couple of games that could have gone either way, I feel like would have gone our way had we had a little more experience out of them. But the middle freshman, Rachel Gilkey, is just as strong a heavy hand as anybody out there. I mean, she reminds me a lot of Aaliyah Pelfrey, the heavy hand hitter, and Katie's doing a great job in the back row. Mackenzie has taken on the setter role, which is a very scary role. I wouldn't want to do it as a freshman, and she's gone right in, played good job, doing a good job on defense as well as the offensive end. And the 2 outside freshmen are holding their own against a lot of older blockers out there.
The conference, the River States Conference, we talk the night before you open up your conference schedule. It'll air the day after, but I know you guys would like to get something done in the league this year.
Everything else, I just want to finish one. I want to get out to nationals, and we've got to win our conference. I've got a couple girls on the team that are not getting recognized because we're not getting out. And I want more than anything to win that conference. But I want it even more now just so that those two girls can get some recognition that they haven't had in the past because of that. If we're not a team that's finishing first in our conference, they're not going to get the votes for All-American.
You know, the conference, I don't know about this year, but in the past it's been a little top heavy. The teams at the top are really good, the ones at the bottom not so good.
Yeah, it's always been like that. And we've always been voted like right in the middle. And you know, you don't know whether to be offended or to be happy that you're there. But we always tend to finish right where they vote us. But this year we're really, really wanting to finish one or two, or one on our end in the East. But I mean, if we can just get a good show at the tournament, we're going to do good things there.
Before we let you go, a little different this year in the fact that we've added a JV program, and that's something obviously that girls that may not otherwise get a chance to get some playing time, getting some PT and a chance to maybe contribute down the line at the varsity level.
Right, and because we've never had that program before, the hardest part about having that program was explaining to those girls that it's not like a high school JV program. It's not a feeder program for the varsity. It's just an opportunity to play some more. Although there are a couple of girls on that team that can come in and give my outsides a little bit of a challenge, and it kind of helps up their game. So knowing that they're there helps challenge my girls. And that JV team, and Morgan has done an amazing job with them. They're having a lot of fun. They're having a lot of success. And it's good to be able to give those girls the opportunity to get a little bit of scholarship money to keep playing college volleyball.
Appreciate you taking some time with us. Good luck the rest of the way.
Thanks, Randy. Thanks.
And that was Billina Donaldson on Monday night prior to their practice, and we appreciate her taking time out of her schedule to sit down and talk with us about the 2016 season. We talked about all kinds of activities coming up here in terms of RIO Grande athletics, and we've got to look at the upcoming schedule over the end of September and up to our next show, and there you can take a look at it. We talked about the doubleheader with Brescia on Thursday night here at Evan E. Davis Field, and we talked with Coach Willey about the All-Ohio that the cross-country team is running in. Of course, women's soccer rather, back on Saturday, and you can see men's soccer here against Marion on Monday. Volleyball here on Tuesday, and it continues on with later next week. We've got one of those River State Conference crossovers in volleyball, Jeff, with Carlo and Point Park coming, and the other part of the equation will be West Virginia Tech.
Right, and that's a first for us. We're going to try to have two matches going on at the same time, one in the upper gym and one in the lower gym, and it's where we bring 4 teams in, and the traveling teams play each other, and we end up getting 2 opponents. Every team plays 2 different opponents, and we'll see how that goes. I think it's trying to be something you don't have to travel as much and be involved with it.
We talked with Coach Willey about the Patty Forgy. They've also got another home event coming up on the 21st of October with the Red Storm Classic. I'm not sure yet exactly how many teams are going to be running in that, but nonetheless, it's one more chance for the kids to get to run on the home course.
Well, and that actually is right on the front porch of.
Even though I gave Patty Forgy some more attention there, it should be the Red Storm Classic.
It is on October the 22nd is our Southeast High School District meet. Right. And so we set up for that, and Coach Willey has, in the past few years, has said we might as well get a run in ourselves with this. So I think it's just as good. It's another opportunity for them to run and an opportunity for them to compete.
And one other thing we wanted to point out, Point Park visiting for men's and women's soccer, and please make note of that. That is, in fact, on a Sunday, 2 o'clock and 4 o'clock doubleheader. I think originally scheduled for, on the 23rd rather. It was originally scheduled for that 22nd date, but the cross-country meet that you just mentioned wanted to dodge any kind of conflict with that, so they will play on Sunday.
And Randy, I wanted also to go back at the schedule on this Thursday is tomorrow. Sodexo is having dinner for all the students at the soccer game. So that will take place on Thursday. And then on Monday, the men's soccer game versus Marion, Dr. Sachs is sponsoring a tailgate party for faculty and staff. So faculty's coming down. I think they're going to have some food and different things, and before the soccer game, so have some tailgate going on.
I guess in our closing moments, 300 Club raffle coming up. It's going to benefit men's basketball and softball. It's an event that has happened here in the past, but
Right.
hasn't happened for the last couple of years, I guess.
And it's a fundraising event. It's a reverse raffle, so it's kind of one of those times when you don't want to hear your name called. That's what you're looking for. We sell 300 tickets at $100 a ticket, and that night, on the night of October 22nd, there's a lot going on that weekend. We are having a banquet, and we will give away about $15,000 that night. Potentially, one person could walk out of the gym with $10,000 for them. The last ticket drawn is that $10,000 winner. So it's kind of an exciting thing. If you haven't been involved with that, it's fun just to come and watch what goes on in the stands, or out in the crowd as we're reading off these tickets, and it's really a neat opportunity for people to come out and get involved with what's going on.
And it also helps, obviously, cover some of the expense of the travel that both basketball and softball are doing.
Right, and it's they're both selling tickets. So if you're looking for tickets, want to get involved with that, we even have a lot of people, departments here on campus split. 4 people go in on a ticket, and that's good on the front end. But if you win, you have to split that 4 ways too. That's the bad side of it. So.
Well, our time has come and gone here in this September edition of Eye on the Storm. We want to invite you to tune in again on October the 26th. We will have both basketball head coaches, Ken French, David Smalley. They'll be along. We will also talk about a redesign of the RIO athletic website. That all comes in your October edition of Eye on the Storm. So for Bob Willey and for Jeff Lanham and the entire crew, Randy Payton saying so long, and we'll talk with you in October here on Eye on the Storm.